The strength of our domestic market was a key factor, albeit a positive factor, for dislodging us as the largest exporter of black tea in the world. What happens in India, the trends and developments in the Indian tea market, are keenly followed by the entire tea fraternity worldwide. Our three eminent speakers today in front of you represent three companies that possibly account for more than 50% of the Indian packet tea market. I'm not sure about the figures, but we'll get wiser as we go along. Mr. Sanjeev Chatterjee and Mr. Sushant Dash represent leading international companies, Unilever and Tata respectively. Paras Desai, or Paras Bhai as he is popularly known, represents possibly the largest family-owned tea company in the world. Now over to the speakers, and as we all look forward to sharing the knowledge that you are going to convey now.
Started his career in tea and has worked in various parts of the category in Unilever since, in tea tasting, buying, exports, and now is part of the larger supply chain community in Hindustan Unilever. Sanjeev is married with 2 children and works out of both Mumbai and Kolkata. I hand over to Sanjeev.
Thanks. Okay, morning ladies and gentlemen. The brief that was given to me was to talk about India domestic marketing national perspective. Now, as we all know, I'll begin with 2 caveats, or maybe one, which basically says I don't profess to know everything. So perhaps I may not be able to answer all the questions that you will raise at me. However, what I have done is I've put together a collection of trends that I have basically been exposed to in the last 1.5 years that I have taken over this job. I put it together basically to show you what I believe would be the key trends that India could see in the years going forward. So I'll begin now, and I've called this Tea Marketing India a national perspective, although all of us know that there is not really any one India. There are several Indias when it comes to the tea category, in terms of the way we drink tea, the way we brew tea, the way we prepare tea, and the way we serve tea. This is what I will talk about. I will take you through, and I believe that just to talk about tea alone doesn't suffice. I will take you through India, a quick overview, because I believe that there are some trends that India is currently going through that has an effect on the industry as a whole. I will then present to you some key challenges which I believe, or which I have kind of gleaned out from various studies that I have gone through, and I'll then put forward to you some key trends that I believe India will go through in the next 5-10 years, and I'll also try and give you some examples of how we in Unilever have done work in that area. So a few random facts. Most important of these are the ones in red. Population is about 1.1 billion, 72% is rural. The average age is 26 years, and the population growth rate is expected to be about 1.4%.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. What I will do is concentrate on the domestic branded tea business. While I know the presentation was supposed to be on branded tea and how on domestic tea, but what I will concentrate on is what has happened in the domestic branded tea business in the last 1 year. What are some of the trends that we can see going forward? These are, I'm sure, statements that all of you have heard in the last 2 days and know. India is the largest tea producing and consuming country in the world. The share of throat of tea in India is one of the highest after water. In one of the studies that we recently did among the youth in metros, it still accounts for 55% share of throat of all beverage consumed. And the penetration of tea is a high 95%. I doubt whether there's any beverage in any country which can actually say that it has a penetration of 95% households. And this is a penetration that is actually growing year on year for the last 3 years. So what is the story that has unfolded in the domestic branded tea operation? Last year, actually the last 2 years, if you see, the last 7 quarters has actually been a good time for branded packet tea market. the market has grown both in terms of value and volume. If you look at the lines that are in red and in blue, the blue line indicates the volume growth and the red line indicates the value growth, and it's the growth of the same period as compared to the same period the previous year. So if you look at the last 3 quarters, actually the volume has grown 6%, 14% and 28%. The last 2 quarters obviously being phenomenally good, where we have seen a 14 and 28% growth in volume and 11 and 19% growth in value. While we have grown, it is important to understand as to why we have grown, and that is what I will briefly touch upon before going into my next topic. The 2 things that we believe has led to this growth, or is leading to this growth in the last 7 quarters, is twofold. One is the increase in commodity prices, and 2 is the increase in the affluence levels of the Indian consumer. How does the increase in commodity prices result in the branded tea growing? What happens, and as many of you would be aware, the Indian tea market is divided into loose tea or commodity as we call it, and branded packet tea. When the commodity prices goes up, the consumer finds it easier because of the price pressures, the loose tea prices also go up. Hence the gap between branded tea and loose tea actually decreases to some extent. And the consumer finds greater value of shifting from a loose tea consumption to actually a branded tea consumption. This is a trend that we have always seen whenever there has been a commodity boom. Whenever the prices of commodity in terms of tea has gone up, we have actually seen a shift from loose tea to packet tea. And that is exactly what has happened. And if you see, in fact, the trend of the last 4 quarters, the last 2 quarters is when we have actually seen the prices in the auction hardening more and more. And that has got reflected in the marketplace with the branded packet tea growing at a much healthier rate than the previous 2 quarters. The other thing is the affluence levels of the Indian consumer. And I will touch upon both of this topic in slightly more detail. The rising commodity prices and affluence, these are the numbers. What I've done is actually taken the first chart, the chart on top actually shows the commodity prices across 3 quarters. It is an average across all the auctions from where we source our teas as marketers. And what I've done is given it nomenclature in terms of high, average and bottom end teas in terms of how the market defines it. So if you see the prices, the prices of all 3 categories are actually on the growth path. If you look at the chart below, it actually is a chart that I've taken from a McKinsey report where the average household income, if you see the chart, is actually on the increase and is growing at around 6 to 7%. And the per capita income is 1,30,000 in 2008 and is supposed to be will grow to 3,18,000. So what has this resulted in? The affluence and the commodity prices. As I said, this chart explains the reason for the growth in the packet tea segment. The first point is the total brand shift, or the total shift to the branded tea is to the tune of 12,545,000 kgs. The number is irrelevant, it's just to give you an indication. But what it means is the quarter of the volume or the quarter of the growth in the branded segment has come in because there is a shift from loose, which is, as I explained, because of the commodity increase. The other and more important part of it is because people who used to consume both, say, branded and loose have now started consuming more of branded, and that has happened because the per capita income of people is going up. If that is what has happened to the packet tea market, what have the main players been doing? I thought I'll briefly touch upon.
Distinguished chairperson of the session, Ms. Sangeeta Kichlu, my fellow guest speakers, and my dear friends in tea trade and industry. It gives me immense pleasure in addressing this august gathering. On the outset, I express my sincere thanks to the chairman and the convener of the convention for inviting me to this grand Indian International Convention 2009. In deliberating the topic domestic marketing current trends, regional perspective, I would like to draw attention to some light on prevailing trends right from the source, that is production, distribution channels, and consumption. At present, producers adopt sales and marketing of teas in 2 to 3 ways. Those who have developed their exports, they sell certain percentage of tea for exports, and remaining volume is divided into auction sales as well as through ex-factory by using their network. If compared to Northeast, 45% of tea is marketed through ex-factory and 55% is routed through auction centers, while for Southern India, such ex-garden sale percentage is very low. So far as reason for high ex-factory sale is concerned in Northeast India, a credit facility of approximately 4 weeks is extended to the buyers. Markets. Sales and marketing of tea in various states of India is done in 2 parts. Sale of tea in packet form and sale of tea in loose form by using channels of wholesalers, semi-wholesalers and retailers. If we look back to the history, most of the tea sold for the domestic consumption was in loose form. In 1950s, sale of packet tea was increased to the extent of 40%. And at that time, national players like Lipton's and Brook Bonds had their popular brands. Gradually, packet tea sale came down due to the imposition of excise duty. Secondly, upcoming retail chains run by regional players which were running approximately 25 to 30 retail outlets in big cities like Mumbai and others, and smaller cities, regional players having more than 3 to 5 retail outlets. From such outlets, the tea sold to the consumers are of very good standards and they use to maintain consistency in quality throughout the year. As a result, by around 1980, packet tea sale had shrunken. Once again, after 1990, swing was in effect as new players stepped into the branded tea packets. It was in 1980 Wagh Bakri entered, and gradually other major regional players like Girnar Society and others entered into the packet tea. It was in 1980 that Tata Tea accelerated its packet tea in a way and started gaining market share very aggressively from the 1990s. Most of the regional tea packet companies are originally more or less running retail shops and have good knowledge of tea tasting and blending. Their main strength is consistency in quality, and though they had limitation in spending after advertising and marketing, but some of these regional brands advertise in local as well as national TV channels and leading newspapers. Few of them are brand leaders in their respective states, irrespective of presence of national tea companies. Tea board chairman is right that Indian consumption outstrips production, which is very evident from the slide which says that Indian consumption is higher by 3.9%, the Indian production is higher by 1.58%, and this is our CAGR analysis. Indian packet tea market is approximately 350 million kgs, out of which 55% is with regional and local players and 45% with national players. Category overview. Tea market enjoyed a healthy growth last year, driven more by rural markets than urban. Amongst pack sizes, 250 grams, 100 grams and 50 grams are the highest contributing packs, together making up for more than 70% of category volumes. Polypacks contributed 50% of the branded tea market. Category was mainly dependent on the promotions, and regional players are also gaining market share. Just to name a few regional players, Wagh Bakri tea in 4 states of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, Jivraj in Gujarat and Maharashtra, Society in Maharashtra, Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, Girnar in Maharashtra and Gujarat, Sapat in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, Mohini in Uttar Pradesh, Marvel in North India and Madhya Pradesh, Pataka in Delhi, UP, A.V. Thomas in South India and many more. Many brands are available in very geographic limited areas, towns. Most of them are city and district specific. Most of them fall in popular and economy segments. Area specific blends and deep penetration in rural areas through wholesale channels. volumes are dependent on higher credit days given to retailers and wholesalers, rapidly losing share to national players and few regional players, more so in 2008 due to buoyant market conditions. Credit facility is the backbone of domestic tea marketing. At present, most of the regional tea packet companies buy tea through their agents or leading wholesalers or through agents operating at auction centers. These parties, agents, are entitled to 2 weeks of credit facility, and they in turn give 2 to 4 weeks credit facility to those regional tea companies as well as wholesalers. Further to this, wholesalers give credit of few more weeks to semi-wholesalers. So credit facility is a vital chain in domestic tea market. A decision was taken by the Chairman Tea Board of India withdrawing credit facility at auction centers and to implement cash and carry system for registered buyers at auction centers. Impact of this decision will be very serious on smooth operations of domestic trade, and ultimately the sufferers will be all the stakeholders. Further to it, estimated that out of the total production of tea, approximately 60% is coming to auctions and 40% is sold ex-factory or direct exports. Ex-factory buyers are given 4 to 6 weeks credit facility depending upon financial strength of the buyers, quantum of business and their business relationships. The decision of a tea board requires second thought at the earliest. Most of the marketing companies will have to accept the terms offered when they come to North Indian auction centers. This will result in diminishing interest of tea buyers in auction centers, as most of the tea buyers also work as agents of ex-factory sales, which will rise instead of 40% may reach to 60 or 70%. This will bring lower offerings through the auction channels in India, and very deteriorating financial conditions of the auction brokers too. Had there been increase in credit facility, there would have been more business at auction centers, which could improve the strength, financial strength of the auction brokers too. Expected impact of cash and carry system. Need huge additional funds due to reduction of credit days to buyers. Increase fund crisis.
Thank you very much. To Mr. Sushant Dash. Thank you. And to Mr. Paras Desai. I now call upon. Thank you all for a wonderful session. We now move on without further ado to the valedictory, after which we'll break for